Let's start. Hello everyone. Tonight, this afternoon, we are going to do a quick presentation on the 20 meta ads best practices that are working right now. I had to put right now because these are changing often, and who knows if we'll have a fix or maybe a new solution in the coming weeks. But these are the best practices that are working right now. This is after spending $5+ million on ads. So I've seen a couple of mistakes on ads and also the best practices at this point. So my name is Mate Hunyor. I've been managing ads since 2018. At this point, well over $5 million in ad spend, both on e-commerce stores, lead generation, local businesses, service businesses, and at this point, I served over 70 brands and industries. I became a top rated plus on Upwork, which means being in the top 3% of the freelancers, which I'm super proud of. I made around 60 plus K on Upwork. And currently, I'm working on Whoopscale. I'm the founder of Whoopscale. It's my agency, my Skool group, and at this point, we have over 1,000 active users. So if you are here from the Skool community, if you are part of the Whoopscale family, thank you so much for being here and for your ongoing support. It really means a lot. So today we are going to talk about the best practices on meta ads right now, and also I'll talk about in depth on each point. At the end, we'll also do a Q&A section. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll make sure to respond. And we'll also take a couple look on some updates and maybe future videos I have coming. So let's start. Let's start the call with the first best practice on meta ads right now is to consolidate your campaigns. So the more campaigns you have, the more you spread your budget. So if you only have $50 to work with, you can just use a CBO campaign and it's only one campaign. You only spend your full budget on one campaign. But if you have 15 different campaigns every day and for every test, for every creative, you start a new campaign, it's going to be hell. It's going to be crazy to manage. It's going to be hard to track your results. So the best advice I can give you is to consolidate your campaigns. Have one main campaign that's going to be a creative testing, and inside you can do a creative test, a copy test, test different headlines and videos. That's your main campaign, and you can add two additional campaigns, for example, a scaling campaign and an audience testing campaign. So I'll touch on all of these later, especially the audiences, because that's something that's super important these days. So the best practice number one, consolidate your campaigns, start with just one campaign, use a CBO, and just have multiple ad sets inside. So now that I mentioned CBO and ABO, was a difference. So ABO is ad set budget optimization, which means you are going to set your ad spend on the ad set level. So if your budget is $30 per day and you have three different ad sets, then each ad set is going to get $10 per day. It's controlled manually, and you can be sure that each ad set is going to spend $10 per day. The problem with this is if one ad set has more potential, you are still going to spend the same money, and instead it would be optimal if you spend 90 and 80% of your ad spend on the ad set that's actually going to convert. So if you use CBO, then that's going to help you with that. So I would suggest you start with a CBO. If you have a smaller budget, you use a CBO. And also for a scaling, I recommend using a CBO. ABO is best if you have high budget, if you want to get manual control over your ads. But since we are heading more and more into the Advantage Plus optimization, into the AI optimizations, I would suggest you go with a CBO. So that's the next suggestion I have for you. Number three, best practice is to use a broad targeting. So you see all of these tips are built on each other, and I'm going to touch on previous advices as well. And I just talked about audiences. Now, it's best to use a broad targeting without any interests because targeting now happens on the creative side. So if you have a proper call out for your audience in your hooks, in your first line of your ad copy, on the text that you are using on your creatives, then you are going to target the correct audience. You don't need to add any interests, custom audience, customer list, or lookalikes. Just use a broad targeting. And when we are setting up new ad sets, make sure to only have 5 to 10 ads per ad set. So I mentioned it's ideal to have only one campaign. Let's say that's a creative testing. Inside every week, let's say you add new ad sets, a new test every week, and inside you should only have 5 to 10 ads. I recently audited a roofing company. I looked at their ads, they were not so happy with the marketing agency running it, and they only had one campaign, one ad set, but inside they have 19 different ads. All ads are in the on position, and it's going to be super hard first to get normal spend across all ads to see which one is performing well, especially with a lower budget. So that's why I suggest 5 to 10 ads per test, and also make sure not to go only one ad per ad set, because I also had a client that published a new ad set for each different ad. So he ended up having 20, 25, 30 ad sets per campaign, and it was a hell to manage. It was crazy. So yeah, let's stick to 5 to 10 ads per ad set. The next best practice is to do a copy testing before testing creatives. The reason is because copy is not as important. So in the first round, let's say we stick with the 5 ads, we are going to test 5 different copies. That's going to give us an idea of what's the messaging that our ideal customer profile reacts to, that reaches the best audience. And from then on, we can just test new creatives, new iterations, new concepts. The ad copy is not as important as the creative, so that's why you only need one test. Once you find an ad copy that's kind of converting, that's all you need. From that point on, you can just start testing more and more creatives, new concepts, and iterations. Now that we mentioned the testing different ad copies, testing different creatives, the next, the next best practice I have is to only test one variable at a time. So if you are testing ad copies, make sure your call to actions are the same, your landing page is the same, your creatives are the same, your description, your headline, your ad copy is also the same. Because if you go inside an ad set and you have different landing pages, different call to action, different creatives, and different copies on all ads, then how are you going to know if one ad is outperforming the other? What was the reason? Is it because of the different call to action, or because of the ad copies, or maybe this landing page is just converting better? So that's why it's super important to only test one variable at a time. If you are doing copy testing, make sure your landing page is the same, your call to actions are the same, your creatives are the same, and the only difference is the ad copy. So everything's the same. You have 5 different ads with 5 different ad copies. And if 2 ads are performing the best, you know the reason, because those 2 ads have the best ad copies. And then you can just keep A/B testing until you have one winner that you can keep using in the next week. And now that you have a winning copy, next week you can just test different creatives. So the variable is going to be the creative, maybe different concepts, videos, animations, images. So that's the idea behind the structured approach to testing different creatives, testing different assets. Next, if you are testing videos, if you use video ads, it's super important to focus on the hook in your videos. A video ad is mainly built up of 2 parts. The first part is only 3 seconds. That's going to be your hook. And it's also the most important part. This is the shortest, but this is kind of the 80-20 rule. You need to put the most focus into the shortest part of your ad, because that's going to give you the most results. So once you have great hooks, the second part, the meat part of the video, is not going to be as important. So that's where you can talk about the pain points, how your offer mm, helps solve those pain points, your call to action, where you ask your audience to take the next steps, either join a Skool community, download the free ebook maybe, or sign up for the webinar. For your video ads, focus on your hooks, which is a custom metric. You can add it under columns inside meta ads. It's going to be a custom metric. You need to use impressions and 3-second video plays. And the ideal benchmark is at least a 25% for a hook rate. But of course, the higher the better. It's going to show you what's the percentage of people who've engaged with your ad, who've seen your ad, and they actually paused and watched the first 3 seconds. So this metric is super important. Optimize for your hooks if you are making videos. We need to focus on other benchmarks as well. We need to have benchmarks for other KPIs, but if you're using videos and images as well, on the images, it's super important to use CTR benchmarks. So that's click-through rates. And if you are using a landing page, make sure to focus on the link click-through rates. Now that we have changes coming to the audiences, to the way that Meta is doing the targeting, now CTR benchmarks are also changing. In my previous videos, I said aim for 1%, but now with the better audiences, with the higher CPMs, aim for at least a 2% click-through rate. Of course, it's different for each industries, but as a set and as a main benchmark, 2% is going to be just good enough. Number 9 is pause your ads after spending one-time CPA with no conversion. So if you have a new ad set and you are seeing the results, let's say your usual CPA cost per acquisition is $15, make sure to pause your ads if they spend $15 or $20 and they still have no conversions. Because if they are not even hitting the average CPAs, they are not going to be a winner in the future. It usually works the other way around. Your winning ad starts out at maybe half the average CPA, and over time the CPA climbs, but it's fine. But make sure not to spend on ads if they have no conversion after spending one time your average CPA. And also you can pause ads earlier if we have, let's say, the CTR benchmark from number 8 at 2% and your ads already spent $5 to $10 and your CTR is only 0.5%, then we'll also know that that ad is not going to be a winner. So make sure not to overspend on your tests. Number 10 is always test new ads, feed the system, feed the meta algorithm, always give it more ads and more data to use. So make sure to create new concepts, test videos, test carousel posts, images, animation, GIFs, different video styles, UGC style, edited style, just you walking or sitting in the car. Make sure to test new ads at least every week. Test 5 to 10 new concepts. But once you are testing ads, which is going to be number 11, make sure to iterate on winners before new concepts. So if you already have data, you already have 10, 6 or 10 ad sets that have converted, that has winning ads, make sure to iterate on the winners first before testing new concepts. So if you have a winning video and you know your hook rate is already 35%, so you don't need to change the hook, maybe just iterate on different call to actions at the end of the video. Or if you have a winning image ad, just maybe try and change the background color. Use white, black, blue, red, try different colors and just make small iterations before jumping into totally new concepts. Next, once we are setting up the ads, use Facebook and Instagram placements only. So, I like to suggest Advantage plus everything. Meta is also pushing you into Advantage plus everything. But recently I noticed a bug with the audience network. I just had it recently with a CPA client, and we were getting suspiciously high click-through rates, around 14%. Now I know the benchmark and an average good CTR is 2%, and I wish I could make good creatives that have 40% CTR, but the reason why the CTR was so spiked because Meta was spending all the money on audience network. And if you don't know, audience network can be, for example, an app, a mobile app, and they are playing a game. They have to watch an ad. They are trying to click on the X, and they accidentally click on your ad, but they are never going to take action. So that's why your CTR is so high. Usually, audience network does it. So make sure to exclude audience network or use Facebook or Instagram placement only. Mm, But when using audiences, I suggest you use Advantage Plus audience. Of course, this is going to mean it's going to do a broad targeting. It's going to target everyone who could be in your market, but it really works. So I used it with different coaches who, for example, only have a German speaking audience or they only work with female audiences. Now, I didn't pick the regular setups and just use a women audience only or use a German speaking audience only. I left my targeting broad, Advantage Plus, and I did the targeting on the creative side with my ad copy and ad creatives. And that's how, even with Advantage Plus, we were reaching only women coaches who spoke German, which I think is pretty powerful. And you need to trust the system and only use Advantage Plus audiences. There are just really rare couple occasions when you should move away from Advantage Plus audiences. Next, which is my favorite, maybe the most important, and if you are doing media buying or methods regularly, you know the AI creative enhancements, you know how much time we spend on turning all of these off. Music, improve text, add overlays, improve the CTA. We don't need any of this. So you'll find the AI creative enhancements on your ad level when you are setting up new ads. Make sure to not use any of these. We don't need AI made images. Methods are not at the level where they can make good ads or better ad copy. So for now, I wouldn't use it, but also this is why I highlighted at the beginning of the call that this strategy is for right now. Maybe in the future, these features are going to be better. Now, as we are hitting number 15, best practice, also if you have any questions, I'm going to answer them at the end of the course, so you can drop it in the live chat. And the best practice number 15 is going to be about scaling. So at this point, we have a good audience, we have a winning ad. Now we want to spend more, of course, we want to make more money. So we want to scale our ad spend. Now, of course, it looks great and we just want to double it, triple it, but we have to be careful because if we just double and triple the ad spend every day, we are going to kill the results, we are going to destroy the learnings, and we are going to give a wrong signal to Meta. So once scaling your ads, make sure to only increase at 20% at a time and only increase your spend every 2 to 3 days. And that's a safe way to approach scaling your ads. Number 16 is going to be the winning ads again. So if you have a winning ad and you want to spend more, instead of just increasing the budget, there's a better way to do it. You can just duplicate it into a scaling campaign. That's going to be a CBO, and you can just use post IDs to increase the spend. And the beauty of it, if your original test, let's say, had $50 per day, now with the scaling, you can maybe increase to $60 per day. But if you duplicate with post ID into a scaling campaign, you can immediately start at $150 per day because it's a new campaign. You are not going to reset any learnings. So this is a quick way to scale your ads fast and to avoid destroying your result. For this, you'll have to use your post IDs. I have a strategy on post IDs. You can just search my channel for post IDs and you'll find the video. This is a super important um, way to create evergreen ads and also to retain existing social proof, likes, comments, and shares on your existing ads. Number 17 is going to be touching on the same topic, which is never edit your ad. If you have an existing ad where you made an error on your landing page, let's say, or your call to action, make sure to never edit an existing ad. It's better if you just pause it and then instead make a duplicate, and in the naming convention, you reflect what's new on this ad. because if you edit an existing ad, the problem is going to be that ad has already spent $20 to $30. It already has 50 clicks. So once you made the edit, it's going to be hard for you to keep track of your KPIs. Are the KPIs actually getting better or worse? Was it that before the change or after the change? So it's always better to just start a new ad, duplicate, and start fresh. Now, number 18. Now, these steps are going to be some advanced media buying strategies. Number 18 is going to be day parting with lower budgets. So if you notice that you only get conversions on Tuesdays and Wednesdays or between 1 p.m. to 6 p.m., you can actually set up day parting and it's automatically going to pause and start your ads between these time periods. It's also best once you have a lower budget and you can't afford to keep your ads running all day long. You can just set up day parting and it's going to conserve your budget and it's going to help you to only spend when your best audiences are live and when they are actually purchasing. So day parting is another great strategy. You can check out my channel for this. I also have a video on day parting. And the next strategy, which is almost the last, is going to be number 19. Now is going to be the cost cap strategy. You can apply cost cap strategies when you have an ABO campaign. So that's also a benefit to ABOs. If you have a CBO, then it's going to be bid caps. I prefer cost caps and I like to apply them when performance drops. So I also made a separate video on cost caps. This is my favorite strategy. This saved so many ad accounts when we scaled aggressively and performance started to drop. Cost per acquisition started to climb. Now cost caps saved the day. So cost cap is basically going to be a suggestion to Meta that I want to get results or conversions at $10. Now for it to work efficiently, you need to have some previous data. So if your previous average cost per acquisition was around $15, then $15 to $16 is going to be where you can set up your cost caps. And again, it's a super powerful strategy and I suggest you check out the video because it's going to be super helpful. And the last step, which is going to be most important for you to succeed with your ads and your campaigns, is to tune in for my next live call because I'm going to discuss more topics that's going to help your meta strategies. I also have a new video coming tomorrow with some new editing, with some fancy animations that's going to help you with your strategies. So this is the last best practice that I can share and is definitely going to help you. I usually do these live calls once a week and I always schedule them ahead on my YouTube channel and I also post about it on my Skool group. So check it out. Now, once we finish the best practices, I'm going to open up for Q&As. So if you have any questions, drop it in the live chat. And in the meantime, I updated my QR code so you can scan it and check out my Skool community. You can join the group for more strategies, more updates. Every week I cover the latest methods updates that you need to know. For example, the recent location fees in the EU that we hate, of course. So you can join by scanning the QR code. We are growing. And also you can check out skool.com/advertising. And once we are open for the Q&A time, I'll also share some more updates. So we have some Skool updates. I have some updates to the community. Maybe you're part of the community and you're not even aware of these changes. So I added way more calls to the calendar. Now you can join these. And I'm going to do a live ad review every week. For now, I'm planning in the first half of the week, it's going to be 7 p.m. my time. It's going to be 1 hour long and it's going to be a live campaign review. If you struggle with your ads, if you're not sure about your next steps, you can come to this call, you can share your screen and we can review your performance live. This is going to be a small coaching call basically. You can unlock it with the premium and I'll also touch on the premium in a second. I'm also hosting another Q&A that's only 30 minutes long. This is not a screen sharing. I'm going to present a new strategy on these Q&As and you can also drop questions in the chat or you can drop your questions in the community. I'm going to respond to them on this call and I'm also going to share the replay or parts of it as a Loom video so you can rewatch it and is going to be helpful for everyone in the future. So yeah, if you have questions about your ad strategy, you can get answers to them on the live call. So those are the two kind of calls I'm doing weekly now inside the community. They are available to the premium members, but I'm still going to do these live calls once every week on the YouTube channel, where you can show up, drop your questions, and I'm still going to take time to answer them. So I just did one today, Tuesday. If you go back to last week, you'll see it was again on Tuesday. So I'm trying to schedule them for the same time. And I also want to touch on the premium membership. So what happened is I rebranded the Skool community. Now we are Meta Ads Systems. I'm going to be focusing, of course, still Meta Ads is the number one focus, but I'm going to introduce AI workflows because I'm using more and more AI to create animations, to create static ads, to create video ads. And everyone's talking about Claude, but I figured out some other ways to use them to make animations without using up your Claude tokens. And it's super great. So in the next call, I might touch on those strategies. And of course, we are still ranking high for methods. If you search for communities, we are still I think number 3 or number 4. Of course, the community is now $9 per month, but if you want to watch the free lessons, this button here is going to redirect you to my YouTube channel where I have all these strategies, these presentations available for free. Here's the live call, and then you can also check out some case studies, results, which is going to take you to my website where I have all previous testimonials, client work, about me, videos, and also reviews from my Google business profile. So check out the community. There are currently two prices. So the main price is $9 per month. This is the standard. So this is going to give you access to the community, to the AI creative workflows, and beginner to advanced meta ads classroom. Now, if you need more hands-on help, if you're already running ads in the premium plan, you'll get everything for $79 per month, but you'll also get the 2 times live weekly optimization calls, the live campaign reviews, and you'll also get as a bonus an onboarding call. So that's quite valuable. And if you want to get the deal, if you do the annual, you're all going to save around 50%, and it's going to be $497 for the full year. So those are the new plans I have. Check out them, and I think that's all for today. On the next call, I talk about the content strategy because I'm working on some new animations. I have a new video coming tomorrow, which I'll give you a sneak peek into right now. So if I go to my YouTube studio and if I look at my most recent content, so actually this short video was made using my new animations. And if I go to content, here's a scheduled video for tomorrow. So this is going to be 10 meta ads mistakes that are killing your results. And what I'm starting to do, instead of just this presentation style where I'm talking, I added more and more animations. So here's how it looks like. For example, in the new video, immediately after the start, we have an animation that looks like this. So it's for you to keep you engaged and also to better visualize the concepts that I talk about in the videos. And I also made the same animation that was this YouTube live, for example, using the same methods, the same prompts that I have. So if you want to create animations like these, if you want to add more animations, if you're making content and you want to add animations like these to your long format videos, I'll also touch on that in a future live call. If you're interested, post that in the Skool community. If you're already making content, I think this is going to be super valuable. And yeah, that's all for today. We'll touch on these next week. For now, just check out the Skool community, join, ask your questions, join the Q&As, join the live reviews, scan the QR code, and I'll see you next week on the next live call.